Hi, I'm Pat Lamb, and you're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate. Enjoy.
So you just copied what Simon said?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans. We're three friends who love the club, the game, and all things Bears. Well, boys, no introduction this week.
None needed.
None needed, because I wouldn't know where to start and where to finish. But just to say, as always, we are back at the Bristol Beer Factory Taproom studio bar.
We are.
Courtesy of our great friends at the Bristol Beer Factory. We've got ourselves... Well, what we got, boys? We've all got the same thing tonight.
We're all on milk stouts, aren't we?
Well, we've started off with Black Gates, Nitro Stout.
Yeah.
Always a good starter.
Yeah. And we've got a little can of... We've got a different thing each for if we feel the need afterwards. But I've got to say, lads, after last night, 5:30 kickoff... You know, it's quite dangerous.
It's a dangerous time.
Difficult time to know when to eat, when to drink. But I think you just drank all day, didn't you?
I did do a bit of drinking. I had a friend down, and we stayed in the after the game. We stayed in the sports bar and had a great social time. Because you can imagine, as you know, because you were there.
Absolutely.
There was a great buzz around the ground after the match. But I did roll in about 11:30. Checked out the North Street shawarma for the first time.
Nice kebab.
Really good. I wouldn't call it a kebab. I'd call it it was grilled chicken in flatbread with some very, very nice salad. It was very healthy.
Excellent.
And unfortunately dropped a bit of chili sauce on my brand new home shirt.
Well, you've done a knee there, haven't you? You've done a knee.
Lee knows how to get stains out of the home shirt.
Yeah.
I did tell him I got some of the pink. What was it? The pink one. You can spray some of that stuff on there.
It might need a bit of remedial action.
You've only got a week to get it sorted, mate.
Oh no, I'm going to wear the away shirt next week.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you've got to wear an away shirt to an away game, home shirt to a home game.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to wear my own shirt.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that can be a debate for another time. Anyway, so, of course, we are here because yesterday, after seemingly years, but it was almost 2 months.
Yeah.
It was the first Premiership game since the last one, which was Falcons. And, of course, we were looking forward to it. We talked about it last week on the pod and what we were expecting. And, I'm not sure we quite expected... what we saw yesterday, did we? No.
I mean, it was something. It was unbelievable, wasn't it? It literally was unbelievable,
and in many ways unprecedented, factually speaking. Because let's start with a few stats before we talk about it, because we need to anchor yesterday's performance in something.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people will be surprised by these stats. Read out.
Exactly. I mean, if I had a quick look on the Prem website today, but. Obviously, the final score was 52-38 to us, which on the surface sounds like a spanking. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a shellacking, but a spanking definitely. And it was eight tries to 6 on our account. We had a 518 metres to their 475, so all looking good. Yeah. But when you look at territory and possession, they were sort of in the mid 50s, and we were in the mid 40s. And then when you start looking at other stats. Carries, we had 126, they had 162. Clean breaks, they had 18, we had 15. Defenders beaten, they had 34, we had 24. Offloads, they had 17, we had 13. Passes, they had 210, we had 152. Tackles missed, we had 34, they had 24. So a lot of these stats were very much in Chiefs' favour.
I mean, you wouldn't think that, would you? Watching the game, you would not have brought those stats out after.
You look at that, and Rob Baxter be thinking, what the heck do you do to beat this Bristol side? Yeah. You know,
wow. And to be fair, Rob Baxter did say he was really proud of his team, and they did play some good rugby, didn't they? They didn't
switch off, did they?
They didn't switch off. They kept going, and it was a spectacle. I know the purists out there are going to say, "Well, defensively, it was awful."
Yeah,
that's fair enough. They can have their say, but personally, I loved it, and it's exactly what we need.
Well, I mean, the other stat I didn't mention, there was 20,408 people at the game.
Fans, that was great.
All four sides of the ground open. Now, again, we've talked about this in the past that they had the Atio open. And there was a decent number of people in the Atio behind the goals, and it added to the atmosphere.
It's got really good acoustics.
And I just think they should have that open for every game. Yeah. And then encourage, maybe do a deal. We've talked about this, it may be too late this season, but do some sort of Atio deal for students or kids or whatever. And you know what you're getting. It's rough and ready. Yeah. You're not expecting too much, but you get a cheap decent ticket, and you add to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
I mean, as someone who's sat there for City games, it's brilliant. I mean, you do get the acoustics bouncing around if you're singing.
And a couple of the tries, you know that the players, when they scored the tries, they love the fact that they can throw the ball into
Jimmy.
the crowd.
Big Jimmy did that, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
End of the game, Harry Brown smashed the ball over the Atio.
Yeah, exactly. So
it was just great to see, the middle of the Atio ram-packed, wasn't it?
And we know it was a mates rates ticket, and there were some members £20 tickets,
Yeah.
but that's fair enough.
It's all positive,
and it was
isn't
a great positive atmosphere. And I think we've got to remember that, because that's why we go.
And absolutely. And we all walked down North Street on the way and the pubs were rammed, the food outlets were rammed, and it was brilliant. It's exactly what we wanted.
It was great. I mean, it was tied in with a fantastic St Peter's Hospice rugby march in a day, wasn't it? So there were a lot of people down at the gate. I saw people walking around Suspension Bridge and under the Suspension Bridge. So, a great cause and charity. Yeah. And I thought the family atmosphere down there yesterday was just great.
And it was Community Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So, I mean, and on that note, actually, the other thing that I didn't realise, I kind of saw this at the beginning, but then had to check this on TV this morning when I watched it back again. But when the players came out with the mascots, James Dunn came out carrying a baby.
Friend of the pod.
What?
Friend of the pod,
Dunny.
James Dunn,
Oh,
carrying a baby. I'm like,
What's he been out to in the last couple of months?
He didn't mention that to us after the game, did he?
No, and
Whose baby was
and
that?
they didn't really say anything. And then there was this little photograph. Fitz had a kid, and they had a little photo.
Right.
Dunny's holding the baby, and then he gives it back to somebody with a bit of a smile on his face, and there was no explanation at all. So Dunny, it suited him.
Drop us a text.
I think Dunny
Let us
needs
know
to
what's
drop
going
us a
on.
text. What was the baby thing? Was it like was he practicing Simba Cam on the pitch? Because that's if they'd played the Simba Cam music while he was holding that, now that would have added to the
Brilliant.
That would have added to the fireworks and stuff. And then Dunny standing there holding this baby up before he's even started
Like he's won
playing.
the World Cup.
Like he has. So Dunny, if you're out there, send us a note and tell us what the baby was all about. Anyway, so it was an unprecedented game in many ways, because it broke a couple of records. The first record it broke was that there has never been 10 tries in the first half of a Premiership game. Has been 9, but not 10. Yeah. So there are 10 tries by half time. And also I read somewhere that the actual points total, 52, 38, so 90 points is the largest cumulative points this season. So
people got value for money on their ticket, didn't they?
And then it was just mental. And in some ways it was kind of like, Miles, you don't agree with me talking about quarters in the game, but I'm convinced that it is definitely a thing you talk about. But it was a game of a number of different quarters, actually. And I think we should do, for once, we don't do this very often, but I think we are going to go in a slightly chronological order, because the game kind of unfolded in some sort of incredulity at the start. So, I mean, the first kind of quarter, the first 20 minutes, I mean, I've never seen anything like it, boys. And I mean, what do you tell us, Lee, what was your thoughts on this?
I'll be honest. I mean, we all know, like, I have my mate Paddy and his missus Yvonne down for the day. They're Chiefs fans, by the way. And,
they're nice Chiefs fans.
They're good Chiefs fans. They're decent folk. So they'd gone in the Dolman stand. They were 2 blocks away from where we normally sit. And so I just thought I'll pay a quick toilet break. And basically I was stuck on the concourse and I didn't move, because it was literally one try, one end, one try the other end. And it was just...
You didn't have time to get back to your seat.
I didn't go back to my seat. I stayed on the concourse. And it was, it was brilliant, because it was so end to end. I know we're going to break it down, as we go now. But I mean, from the off, what I loved about it, and we got to have a big shout out to Jack Bates. It was his 50th cap.
Yeah.
And to score a hat trick. I mean, it's his first tries of the season as well. And so his old man Mike is going to be absolutely cock-a-hoop today, isn't he?
Proud dad. Yeah.
But I mean, really, it was like they invented a new game.
Yeah.
It was called Restart Tennis.
Yeah.
And I was...
Or muck up. Yeah.
I mean,
Cock up, restart tennis.
It was try, restart, try, restart, try, restart, try, restart. And there was a bit on the comms this morning where I think we were on our 6th restart, and they were saying they've got to secure the ball, haven't they? And they do it. It goes flying over the top of our head, and one of their guys catches it, and they were speechless on comms.
Yeah.
I think Nick Mullins said, "I literally don't know what to say," which is a bit of a problem, seeing as my job is to speak. But anyway, Miles, come on, tell us about these restarts. What was that all about? The kickoffs. It's all about the kickoffs and the restarts. What were your thoughts of this?
Well, historically, it's been a thorn in our side. Do we all agree? Yeah.
Oh yes.
We're never quite sure whether to kick it short, kick it long. Dealing with the kickoffs, we've not been particularly great. But both sides mucked up a little bit, didn't they? But I'm not sure I've ever seen Bristol's restarts this good. Have you? As in yesterday?
Our attacking
restart.
Yeah.
Now, this plays in part 2. You can only doff our caps to Harry Byrne. No one else. It was his job to the restart. The hang time, the variation in the hang time distance was just something else. Yeah. I think it kept Exeter guessing for all 8 tries. You could not predict where he was going to put the ball.
Was coming down with snow on top of it. I swear it was. It was that long.
Well, I think they've gone up to the suspension bridge and come back down again, haven't they?
Although the first one was, he drilled it low. If you remember, the first kick-off of the game, it wasn't really a restart, it was the start. And it was a kind of, in some ways it looked a bit like a shank that just made it over the 10-metre line.
Yeah.
And Chris Dizuna kind of was quite taken by surprise, put his hands out to catch it and knocked it forward into touch. And then on the back of that line out, we had a few phases, and then Jack Bates scored in the corner. And of course, a lot of people will be thinking, was that a bit of a shank? Yeah. But then he did exactly the same thing again, and Jack Bates caught it on the run again. And of course, you realise, you know what?
It's a tactic.
That was a tactic.
Yeah, that was
and I don't think I've seen I'm sure it has happened in the past, but I don't recall seeing a kind of stabbed restart. And Byrne, it was absolutely perfect.
It's not easy to do.
No, not at all.
Like, you can't try. You can't.
But then, I think the third one was then he changed it up because, of course, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You change it up.
Yeah.
And that was the hang time on one of those. And of course, there was the amazing Jancy van Rensburg try where he caught it on the run.
That was... God, Michael, you described that because that was brilliant.
Obscene, absolutely obscene. It's like Chiefs came to town. He basically pulled the pants down of all 15 players, caught it, gave him a little wink.
It was cheeky, wasn't it? It was cheeky.
It was the cheekiest try
and it couldn't
in this season.
And as you saw, Bernard running with his hair flowing behind it. It was the right person to chase the ball. And it was almost as if this extra Chiefs players parted ways and just let him through.
Do you think it looked a bit Moses-esque with his long hair?
I know that the poor guy underneath it, I did check this, it was their 10, Ben Cohen.
Did Moses have a mullet then, did he?
I'm not sure there were that many barbers in the old days. So there was a lot of long hair in those days, I think. Yeah. But the poor guy that was waiting to catch it was their number 10. He was a young lad, Ben Cohen, who I learned from watching it today, was that he'd actually been in the England under-20s team, Six Nations squad, and they promoted him for this game because he's a good player. But I think he realised that when you come and play with the big boys, you've got to jump to get the ball. You can't just optional. You can't expect it just to land.
The ball doesn't come to you.
I know, the ball don't come to you. Jancy van Rensburg goes to the ball. But that was, in a game, if that was a one-off in a game, you'd say, oh, wow. But the fact that was like the third iteration of a ridiculous restart we'd had, I thought it was brilliant.
And it's got to be out there with cocky try of the season, hasn't it?
It was.
That was a category.
It'd be interesting to see what was in Pat Lamb's mind then at that point, because, would he have been like, oh, for pity's sake?
Well, he would have been, because by then, when the Bernard one, we scored a try with Jack Bates on 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They then scored from the restart with Maloney on 6 minutes. So then from our next restart, Williams scored very quickly. We got control of the ball on that one. That was the one where Bates got it on the run.
And we should say, what a class act to have back. We really missed him.
I think we'll mention that in a sec. And then they scored off their restart. Slade scored on 10 minutes. So it was 14 all after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we had Bernard's one. So we went to... we were 3 tries to 2 on that. And then we broke the mould by scoring again.
Yeah.
And that was our bonus point try. It was Jimmy Williams again, fantastic try, where I think that was the one where it was soft hands from Kloska who popped it on the inside. It was beautiful.
And then
Grondona
he kind of was going right and then come left and then went through.
Beautiful try. So we had got our bonus point by 17 minutes. Which I wonder whether that must be pretty close to a record.
It's not quite there. I think they said on
15,
TNT.
Yeah.
15.
And then Jenkins scored after 21.
Yeah.
So, and then Bates scored after 28. And then Hodge then scored.
Oh, that was a great try.
Yeah, that was a great
the one
try.
that the ball went loose and he kicked it on and then picked it up.
That's right.
Josh Hodge
it was good. He's a
player.
class player. He had, as they'd say in football, he's got a lovely left wand. So they scored their bonus point try on 30. So both teams had scored bonus point tries by 30 minutes. And at that point, you're thinking, where's this game going?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you are. You're thinking
like there's no structure to this game. There's no. It's loose as loose can be. I mean, as you say about Pat, Pat and Jordan Crane must have been pulling their hair out.
Must say
hoping, actually, probably thinking, you know what, we need to get him in for half time now. We need to get. We need to start talking about things.
Yeah.
Because
we need some clarity.
Whereas if I was Baxter, I'd be like, no, let's not talk about stuff. Let's just carry on doing that because you're playing in. You know, they're playing into our hands. They're just giving us every opportunity. So. In a way, this is my first little segment.
Yeah.
You know, that was a crazy 30 minutes of unprecedented restart rugby, as we'll call it, which is slightly ironic because it was the whole Premiership restart as well. So it was like we were living up to the marketing. Premiership marketing people must love us. It's like they banded it like the Premiership restart and we're actually doing loads of restarts. But it all then changed a little bit. And in some ways, in a way, when we look back at it, changed for the good for us, and that was poor old Santi. Well, actually, let's say poor old Martin Maloney, who had his nose broken by Santi. Now, I don't know. What did you think when it happened live, Miles? Because it was kind of in front of us on the dolman. What did you think?
I thought it was, it happened so quick. I thought it was pretty fair. It looked like he dipped a little bit. He had wrapped his arms, and I thought, all right, that might be a yellow. And Dicko let the play continue, didn't he? And ultimately, annoyingly, they scored. Yeah. And we then,
that was the Hodge.
So that was the Hodge. We double whammy. Then Grondona.
I saw the head contact live, and I thought, ooh,
watching
we're coming back to that. But at the time, I didn't think it was that bad. No. I thought it was a yellow. I just thought there was a bit of a step inside, bit of mitigation, probably.
He was pretty stationary.
Yellow. Yeah. It didn't feel like Grondona went in. There was
no malice. There was no intent to hurt the guy.
But it was poor technique.
Yeah. It was poor technique.
And it's not like they don't know that you're supposed to not stay upright. You've got to go low. Yeah. And actually, in hindsight, when I watched it on TV and I saw Maloney's nose splatter everywhere, I don't think there was any argument with it.
No.
Yeah. And I think Grondona, when he went off, realised that as well. I think he knew he knew it at that time. You imagine how he's feeling then. He's thinking, like, I've let the team down now. Yeah. How are these boys have now they've got 50 minutes.
I know.
And they're tired already because they've been running like headless chickens. Like they've got to find their heads and put them back on again because they've now got 50 minutes. And I remember at the time I was thinking, we've blown this. Yeah. We could have won this game.
I think we all agree.
I agree. Yeah, 29 minutes. I thought, we've blown this.
Because what was the score at that point?
At that point, it's hard to say. It was quite close.
Chiefs were only 9 points down.
Yeah. It was
29 minutes. That wasn't.
It was 4 tries all. So it was 4 tries all, and I think it was very close. So of course, when there's a crisis, what you need is a hero.
You do. Yeah.
And 2 minutes later, when we had our first line out, Pat suddenly realised that we needed someone else on, and so he substituted poor old Revovo. And by the way, can I just say, Nick Mullins on comms, having listened to it, every time it's Revovo.
Really?
He's learned his lesson. And I'm a bit disappointed. And I think Nick Mullins is great.
Yeah, he's the best.
A bit disappointed he didn't reference the fact that we told him that, because I tweeted, I tagged him in on Twitter and said it's Revovo, and I said that, and I sent the GIF of of George Michael and Wham, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we got to thank Slick because he's the one that pointed it out right at the beginning.
Absolutely.
But I think, Nick, I'd like us to a little acknowledgement that we made a big thing of this, and well done.
We know he listens to the pod, so you know.
But anyway, so when you need, when there's a crisis, you need a hero. And who was our hero?
Oh, Superman.
But you need a Superman hero. And he is literally a superhero.
He is.
He's been flown in from New Zealand.
Yeah. And as somebody pointed out, I think it was Marcus Watts, who's brilliant. I love Marcus. He gives us loads of great stuff on Twitter. He had a little picture saying, "Is this Steve Luatua's younger brother?" And it's like, he says it's amazing what a couple of weeks in New Zealand can do when you haven't got the stress of playing rugby. He looks about 20 years younger, didn't he?
Yeah.
He looked about 21.
He had a nice sharp haircut.
Sharp haircut, a little bit of a tan, just relaxed. Yeah. So anyway, Steve came on and immediately kind of shored it up.
You did.
You felt as though that was a little wave of calm comes over. Fitzy's probably thinking, "Oh, thank God, Steve's on."
I mean, he's got an aura, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He has got an aura that it's unbelievable. He's the glue of our team.
And we I think at that point we were on a defensive line out, and we were under the cosh.
Yeah.
And because they'd gone to the corner, hadn't they?
Right.
And but we won. I think we secured it, and we got rid of it, and we got back. And then the best thing you can do when you're one man down and under the cosh is do what?
Score a
try. And not just, and of course, who scored it? Someone we've missed a lot.
Pocket Rocket.
Little Pocket Rocket. As actually I did the post article, and I think I referred to him that he was back to his best, sort of scampering, burrowing like a squirrel on steroids. And he was a bit like that. And he loves a snipe. And he had the best opportunity on 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He sniped. But you noticed something, didn't you, after that try?
It was just, I mean, it was something I had to watch back again on the highlights. But I kind of thought when Randall scored, there was a little bit of skullduggery, I think I'm going to use that word. And I kind of thought, well, that's a bit weird. I don't know who the Chiefs player was, but it did look like he'd had Randall pinned down, and it looked like
bit of afters, wasn't it?
It was definitely a little bit of afters, and I thought, well, we'd already scored. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's pretty rude. It's like a sixth former pinning down a year 7, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, and it's not like Randall would be celebrating. His face was still on the turf. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Yeah. He was looking at the guy's boots. I didn't know if any of our listeners had seen that.
I didn't see it.
Well, I tell you all know what happened. Our mate Dunny. I mean, if you're going to text us about the baby, can you also text us? Because he was first on the scene, and I think Dunny came in, had a word. That. Yeah, came in to protect his little mate, and there was a bit of Although actually, on that note, because it just reminded me, there was also a bit of niggle in the first half where there was a maul, and we pushed him into touch, and Dunny got his head cap ripped off, and then his red head. Skull cap was ripped off and thrown into the crowd, and there was by one of the Chiefs players, and there was a bit of
you don't do that to our Dunny.
And Stevie, it must have been in the second half because Stevie was involved, and there was a little bit, and Yanda was on, so it was second half, and there was a bit of like afters, and then Stevie came in as you do. Calmed it all down, and Dunny was like, God, they all had a bit of a laugh about it in the end, and I think on the TV I could see Dunny like looking into the crowd, like trying to get his skull cap back. So that's the third thing I want to focus. So Dunny's got 3 jobs.
Yeah.
The baby. What happened with Harry Randall's try? And what was that? You know, what happened with when your skull cap and who threw it off? And what was that all about?
Yeah, quite an eventful game.
Yeah, because those are the little things we don't hear on Ref Cam. We want to hear more of that. We want to know what's going on.
Yeah, we love all that, don't we?
Right. So anyway, fundamentally we go into half time at 40-24. Yeah, and I've got to say, that's not a bad result, I thought. It wasn't. I was no way on earth was I feeling comfortable. But when you think we score 40 points, can we really lose a game having scored 40 points? What was your thoughts, Miles?
Well, we did weather that 10-minute storm, didn't we? And score from it. But as is the Bristol way, and we have got a history and many tears of many a tear over from fans like us. Yeah, we can throw away massive leads.
It's been done. Don't mention massive leads, Miles. I can't believe you mentioned that.
But
do we throw them away, or do the other team earn them?
Yeah,
I think it's a bit of both.
A bit of both. Stepping up, earn them, etc. So I was not confident. I think we would all agree that all fans are really, until we hit 70 minutes, we were not comfortable.
Well, I was that nervous at half time that I went out of the ground back to the kiosk to get another double pinter, because I thought, I don't want to remember this second half, because it's like I'd rather have amnesia than know what's coming.
Yeah, because
you thought about not coming back, did you? Just having 2 pinters,
and that's it. And we're a man down.
Yeah,
we're
man down.
But Lee, what is the best thing you can do when you're a man down? You've got a lead, but you're a man down. What do you do?
Well, what I loved is the fact we still showed our attacking intent.
Yeah.
And we went for the juggler, and we were rewarded, weren't we? We scored 2 tries, which is, I don't know how many teams score 3 tries with a man down. That'd be, someone somewhere will know some good stats.
And I think Stevie was the first one on 48. Yeah. And it was just a nice little pick and go straight over. Job done. And then then we subbed in, actually, on 49, we had Thacker and Harry Thacker and Max Laheath came in. And that, to me, was also a very crucial decision in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they came on, and Kloska and Ogre had great games. And Kloska in particular, I feel that just since since that England A game, where he started and had that confidence to start, I feel like he's grown in stature. He's re-signed as well.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great player.
So do I.
And he's not just a scrummager, he's got soft hands.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they came on, and then immediately, we had about 10 minutes or so where we obviously, with those new blood on, we weathered the storm a bit. We defended hard. We suddenly looked like a completely different defensive team. The boys were trying to keep hold of the ball. We weren't throwing it away. We weren't making any mistakes. And then Harry Randall has a quick tap. And there's nothing better in life to see than Harry Randall on a quick tap, arcing into space. And he was going away. We were in the dolman, so he was running away from us. And I think I'm right in saying that led to Bates's hat-trick, because Randall dummied and then took the contact, but then did that classic where he put his arm around, popped it to Lane, who popped it to Batesy, who then did a hitch kick. Yeah. And he realised he was running, and then he thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. And he did he accelerated from about 5 yards. And what a great try.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
And that was, not only was it just great that was Jack Bates scoring his hat-trick, but that was the 3rd try before they'd scored anything when we were a man up. And even then, what did you think?
Yeah. No,
I was more confident.
Yeah.
Just because I just thought at that point the stamina and the legs that we've got. I felt like we can win this game, but I did still feel there'll be a Chiefs comeback to some degree, and that's what happened.
And then at 6, we were then on 58 minutes, we were 52-24 up.
Yeah.
Now, in any normal circumstance, you think,
that's given. That's over.
Yeah. And then we brought on Caulfield and Marmion on 60. But then on 67, so that's a pretty good, again, defended like Trojans, 67 Yandel scored. We then brought on Jan Thomas, and then they didn't score again until 75, and then we saw it out.
By then the game's
finished. 52-38, and the game was done. But I've got to say...
90-point thriller.
Thriller. But even then,
Michael
I think...
Jackson would have been proud of that.
He would have done. And... it was just, I don't know what you can say. If we talk about rugby and having its problems and stuff like that, but that just shows what a great game is. In some ways, you don't need to tinker too much with it. What you just need teams and players who want to play the game of rugby.
But that's it. But you do need 2 teams.
Yeah.
That want to play the same way.
Yeah, I agree.
And if we're hypercritical, show me 50-38, and I'll show you a lot of mistakes in a game.
Yeah. You're not going to get a scoreline that without mistakes. But I would say, we spoke beforehand, didn't we? We would have been beaten by that Chiefs team 3 years ago. We'd have been beaten by that team. Yeah. Because they would have known exactly what to do, when to do it, and they would have nullified us, and they would have gone on and to win. But what a beautiful day it was. Like, just the whole day out, and to have the rugby to match the day out was brilliant. I loved it.
For as much as the first half was loose and quietly stressful, the second half showed what we have got in our locker when it really matters. And actually, there'll be some critics out there who'll say, Bristol play like that, they ain't going to win the league. They'll get undone. But I think the second half proved that we have got the Lions, the Gladiators, that can do what they need to do. And we defended so well in that second half. We backed ourselves in the pack and we scrambled the defence out wide. Some people might say maybe Exeter were a bit naive. They should have really stretched us side to side a bit more, maybe kicked over the top, but played into our hands a little bit. But I just thought it was such a great performance.
I mean, they came with a game plan and I thought Exeter executed pretty well. And hats off to them. But they're not the Exeter of old. I don't think they've got the key players in the key positions. Remember, they got some injuries of some decent players out to make those changes when needed and to change a tactic against a team like us. You're right. I think no one wants to see a 6-all slog out in Premiership rugby anymore. No. I think those days are gone. And the purists, I think you're wrong to want that sort of game. All right. This is fantastic running rugby. I think on TNT today, I was watching Bath Gloucester, and they did say, the teams with the best defence win the league. Now, we proved that a man down, we had a bloody good defence today. Yes. But in addition to that, we've got one of the best unpredictable attacks in the whole league. And I think if we tighten it up a little bit, analyse, the cheap tries, etc. from today, and I think we'll be unplayable and, defensively unstoppable. I
mean, that's a great shout, because you could argue we were worse defensively with 15 on than we were with 14 players. And also, I'm glad you brought that Bath game up, actually, because I know we don't like mentioning them too much. But when Randall scored that tap and go, you tap the ball, it was meant to be a clear tap and then touch the ball. Bath scored one of their tries today, it was done, wasn't it? He literally just his foot and his hand kept the ball together. So one of those tries actually shouldn't have stood. No. But they did a job on Gloucester.
Right. I think what we're going to do with this is I've got a few little short, sharp talking points. I'm going to go one at a time. I'm going to say something to you relating to this game, and I just want you to respond to it. Okay, so here we go. Miles, you're going to go first, but it's short, sharp. Yeah. Harry Byrne.
That was short and sharp.
I'll fly off. Something about absolutely. Just give me one thing about that performance, Harry Byrne. What you enjoyed?
His best performance of the season, by far. I think he's grown in this team massively. He brings a different dimension to what AJ can bring. You could argue different games, different teams. The strategy will work and won't work. His kicking game is absolutely off the record. I think now off the hook, and looking. It's
9.1 on the Richter scale.
We're biased, but looking at the other 10s in the league, there is absolutely no one like it at the moment.
Yeah. And one other word with Harry Byrne: torpedoes. What they are. We saw. I mean, actually, Lena did a torpedo as well. They are things of beauty. Right. The only thing I would say about Byrne is, should we try and sign him? Why not have two fly-halves at that quality to make we need to make an assault on a number of...
I think he's shown his cards to return to Ireland. I could be wrong. Some fans might know.
But to go what? Back to be the fourth choice at Leinster?
Yeah. And what we're saying, should we try to sign him? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Let's do it. Right. We've talked about restart tennis. We've talked about Santi's red. Lee, Jimmy Williams. Discuss.
Jimmy Williams. You don't realise how much you miss a player until they come back. And Jimmy Williams was making those runs. It was almost like it was seamless, like he hadn't had the injury, he hadn't been away. And him and Bernard in the centre are the best centre partnership, I think, in the Premiership.
Should Jimmy Williams ever be in an England conversation?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? I love Fraser Dingwall, but how much better? What is the difference between them?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, at the end of the day, all they can do is the best they can do for their club sides. And Jimmy Williams has got to be in the mix. He's got to be.
Right, Miles, Jack Bates. Just to add a little bit more to Jack Bates.
Well, his 50th cap this weekend.
He's one of our own.
One of our own, boy and man, Bristol Bears.
Man and boy.
Man and boy. Yeah, even that.
You could be boy and man. You could be whatever you want to be.
You know, great rugby family, amazing support from his father, who...
And he was on telly. Mike, on TNT, they showed Jack with his... Because he got the player's medal. They showed him. Mike came down with his old hoop top, and they were hugging. Full on TV. So
loved it. So the family support is absolutely phenomenal.
What does he represent, Jack Bates? What's he representing at the moment? It's a change, I think, in our strategy. I'm saying Kloska, Bates, Dunny, Owen. Come on, Miles.
Well,
what am I getting at?
I don't know.
What am I getting at, Lee?
We're talking about youth.
We're talking about youth. We're talking about we cannot buy. We tried to buy success. We almost did it.
Fair enough.
Now. We're seeing this is the fruits
we're growing it in a test tube.
And actually, this is the fruits of the other side of the investment of Lansdowne, the HBC Academy. To be honest, again, I look at Jack Bates. How far is he off in England when he plays like that? The guy has got pace to burn.
I mean, the guys are saying he's come back from injury and he's been the quickest man on the training pitch for weeks, and he wouldn't have even known he's injured, had sustained an injury.
Fingers crossed for Jack Bates that he stays fit, he gets his opportunity to do what he's been doing, and he can only do. Right, we've talked a little bit about him, but I want one more comment. Harry Randall,
the best scrum half in England, in my opinion. Absolutely, everything. He just, I don't know if there's a player that fits the bill more perfectly for Bristol Bears than Harry Randall. No. I'll be totally honest.
That's what he is Bristol Bears. He is the Bears way.
And the
personified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I thought he was brilliant. I thought his distribution was fantastic. I thought he looked lively. He looked like a guy that has been sat holding tackle bags for the last 8 weeks and then been told to kick a ball when he hasn't practiced it. So, Harry, great to see you back.
Yeah, it's a sin what happens when he goes to England.
Yeah, I agree. Forget those box kick nonsense that you've been forced to do by... he was a brilliant performance yesterday.
We need him fit. We need him in the army and pushing him as well. Okay, I'll take one. I wanted to mention Fitz, Matter, Dunny, 80-minute performances in that pack. Those boys were on their... Well, Dunny, they were literally on their knees at the end. And I just can't emphasise enough how good that is. How James Dunn, Fitz Harding are seasoned. This is their Fitzy's third or so full season. They're not fly-by-nighters that get into a squad because they've come through a RFU pathway. These are boys that have been there, seen it, done it. They've been in the heat of battle. Dunny only told us about what it was like playing at Claremont. He learned so much being in that cauldron, and he loves contact. He loves the challenge. So you need to recognise these boys. Bill Matter, very physical game, probably his most physical game. That's what we were expecting from Matter when we signed him.
Well, we were sold by Pat.
Exactly. Yeah. My only concern is there a red card coming at some point this season for Matter? Well, let's just hope it's not.
The hit on Emery Slade. I mean, he went for an HIA, and I think they couldn't find the 8. It was nearly missing.
That is
so he went in for an IA.
He just went into he went for a GIA, a general impact assessment, where the whole body they put him through like a whole body MRI scanner, and they found.
I literally thought they were going to find fragments of bone on the pitch. Yeah. It was.
He needs to be a little bit careful. But you're right.
I've got to say to Slady though, he took it. He got up and he carried on.
Yeah, he did.
Because I thought he was lying on there. Like I saw afterwards on the telly. Bill Matter did it. Bill Matter just looked at him and then walked off, and Slade's like there going.
Do you know what I thought Matter was going to do? You know, in football sometimes when someone goes down easy, and I thought he was going to either pull him up or something.
Or point at him.
Point at him.
It was a great performance. It was all we were saying. It was almost like Nathan Hughes' first performance. Remember back in the day, he was physical, he was quick. His hands, pretty much, one drop pass, but I thought it's finally seems to be clicking in the way we wanted him to play.
And do you know what? I'm going to hold my hands up, because the one thing that worried me about Bill Matter was the tempo that we play. I didn't know if he's 31 years old. He has had a lot of injury, over his career. And I wondered, I doubted actually he would be able to keep up.
Yeah,
and,
I agree.
And I'll tell you what,
I think he did as well.
Yeah.
he's dispelled all of that.
That's why we've seen him up on the downs every morning running 20 kilometres and more.
Running up Bridge Valley Road.
Running up and down Bridge. He's like Rocky. Like I've seen him chasing chickens in Greville Slide. Matter, sweating. Right, on that note, Miles, lookalike cam.
So if listeners, weren't there yesterday, don't know what we're talking about, or are listening from another country, there are a few iterations of amusing little pauses in play down at Gate, and there's two big screens, as a lot of fans might know, and you might have something annoying like a Simba cam, what else, but a wave cam, which is great. They point the camera and you get a bit of a cheer. And this week there was a lookalike cam, and it was one of the best ones I've ever seen. There is some poor man or woman scanning the crowd, looking for someone, a student looking for someone who looks something resembling somebody famous.
Actually, it wouldn't be a student because they don't know anything, do they?
No.
So it would be actually
they wouldn't know who it was.
A cultural pro.
Because, so who could it have been? An absolute legend who sadly is no longer with us, John Lennon.
It was so good.
And the lookalike was absolutely spot
they played
on.
Imagine as well.
They
It was
did.
so good.
So bear with me, right? Because I didn't see this. What type of what era of John Lennon was it? Was it the long hair?
Yeah, long hair.
The long hair era.
So it was the
long hair, round glasses,
it was like Revolver,
the Yoko Ono,
Sergeant,
all that.
Sergeant,
God
so it
mental,
was the end.
So
it's the end game.
They do this in American football, don't they? I think that's where it comes from. And there's a little split screen, and the whole crowd were in stitches.
And actually, it reminded
quality.
us that the one time they'd done it before, they had Dame Edna Everidge, didn't they, in the Australia game? And that was genius as well.
Too.
So I love the lookalike. We need more of it. More lookalike, because there's got to be some lookalikes in the crowd. I mean, you just have to look around the Dolman. There's all sorts in there. So come on. That is what we need to see at the next home game. We want two lookalike
when the time's right.
When the time's right.
And it was a family match, a big crowd down there. It didn't interrupt with play, and we thought, actually, for once, it was done well and done brilliantly.
Right. One more. I don't know. Actually, you may not have... It was the Josh Caulfield incident.
No, you're going to have to
I'll tell you this one. So for those that haven't seen it or didn't see it, there was some sort of ruck or something, and Josh Caulfield's shirt got basically pulled off, clean off his body to reveal quite a lot of strapping on his shoulder. It was a little bit worrying. But anyway, obviously there was a big kind of cheer because it was on the big screen, and as is a quality, he acknowledged the crowd with his fist. And it was a bit like he was on the beach at Weston, because he is a Western boy, and it was like he felt, and he acknowledged that his rig was on show, his filthy rig was on show, and I think even Joe Batley has tweeted something after this saying it was the best moment of the game, which is saying something because it was a game of many, many moments. So fair play to Josh Cole. He's sporting a kind of slightly dodgy 70s tash as well. I mean, I think there are a few children that parents would put their hands in front of the eyes of their children. You don't want to be looking at a man with a big moustache with his shirt off like that, But yeah, fair play to him. I mean, it was funny anyway, because we love it when shorts get pulled down and stuff like that. But the fact they acknowledged it to the whole stadium, it was great. Quality as well. And the game was still, it was still in the balance, but he still found it in him to go out. So that was it. So look, boys, I think we've drunk from Saturday's well as best we can there. I hope we've done it justice. I hope we've reminded listeners of some of the moments, and those of you who are at the game will know what we're talking about. What a fantastic game. And those of you that watched it on TV, you should have been down there.
I just wanted to add, it was great to see the players after the game in the sports bar. And
well said.
And Pat Lam. Yeah. Pat Lam actually came over to us, didn't he? And we had a little chat with him. And, I just thought that it's those little things that we talked about when things weren't going well. It was those little things, that disconnect that we had as supporters with the club. And it feels like we're starting to get a bit of that back. And so I just wanted to applaud Pat Lam and the whole team, because that was great. And to celebrate it together in unison at the end of the game, you can't ask for more.
There was a good atmosphere in the sports bar, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think if you can't win and celebrate the game and engage with fans that are there to see you, these are our, this is the closest thing we've got to
heroes.
Our heroes, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Bristol Bears players and coaches alike. And that's why we love it. And so I think hats off for coming down, chatting to the fans, and more of it. Yeah.
Okay, you're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans. If you want to get in touch, you can contact us in various ways. bearsbeyondthegate@gmail.com. You can tag us at Bears Beyond Gate on Twitter. You could send us a message on Facebook, or you could send us a direct message on Instagram. And as we have discussed many times, we have a small but well-formed group of followers on Instagram. Okay, boys, we're going to move on quick. I don't think we're going to dwell too much. We've got Gloucester away next week. It's exciting for us because it happens to be my birthday next Saturday, and I've rewarded myself with a ticket for the Shed.
Dear.
So we're going to get the train. We're going to go up and watch the boys in Gloucester.
Or like a prison sentence.
Well, it's an experience. You buy those like Virgin experiences. When you go to WH Smith's and you buy an experience, a hot air balloon ride.
But it's something enjoyable.
Yeah, or going to a stately home. I bought myself an experience in Gloucester.
Yes. Well,
I think we need to get them a badge as well to wear.
I think it's an experience going to Gloucester anyway, and we're like doubling up on the birthday experience by going in the Shed.
Mate, second time in less than a month for us, boy.
Yeah, we have. But last time, it was a bit less animosity.
Well, I can guarantee there is going to be a lot more bite to this one.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty bad at the women's game, but anyway, right. So I don't want to dwell on this, boys, but I mean, I'm just going to ask you very briefly one comment each about the game in terms of what sort of team, how we're going to play, what you think. Miles, off you go.
Well, we've got to tighten up our defence. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. I watched Gloucester today. They have very, very good attacking side, and they can turn it on very quickly. Santi Carreras, as we know, is an extremely talented number 10, and he's so dangerous anywhere on the pitch. Yeah, and they've got some great forwards, great backs, and a very fast pitch. They're at home. Tighten up the defence, score a lot, but it's going to be a tough gig.
But for Lena, we are going to literally tighten up because I imagine if we were going to say who's going to be the candidate most likely to wear a pair of tights, and I know there are listeners out there who will say they wear tights because they can get friction burns. It's like, I know that, but it's still stupid to see rugby players in tights.
Well, Christian Wade has
taken that to a new level.
Oh, dear.
But Rich Lane, anyone else going to wear tights next week? Because you never see forwards wearing tights, do you?
No,
ever. So that's just a comment.
No. Maybe that's it.
Maybe Dunny's going to wear some tights.
I've got a feeling he probably won't.
No. Any other tights? I think Lane's the best candidate for tights. Yeah. I don't know, Harry Byrne, has he not played at Gloucester? He might. And then his brother's going there next year. So I don't know. No, I think
experience the 4G. And
you see, Jack Bates. I don't think on the back of a hat trick performance on your 50th, Bates is going to say, "I'll take the friction burns. I'll take the friction burns to get a chance on that pitch." We don't really know about injuries. Didn't appear to have that much any injuries. I didn't really notice anyone.
Joe Owen had some ice on his shoulder.
I mean, that's just part of the course. Would you say a fairly similar team?
I think so.
So who do we bring in? Because we suspect that Santi's going to have a three match ban.
I mean, you go to your go-to man, don't you? You ring up Borough. You say, "Turn off the coffee machine, Jake. We need you this week." So I reckon Jake will be in the 23 somewhere. Steve might go in. Steve might go into the back.
And then I think Luatua in, and we drop someone on the bench. Someone, another
fast 4G pitch like that. You need someone to slow the game down a little bit, and I think Steve's going to be in. I think so.
I can't see any other changes. Can you?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I can't remember whether there was anyone due to be back from injury. I think it won't be till Leicester. No. I think we've got a 3-week break after this, and I think then we'll be seeing AJ back in the mix.
I don't think we're going to rush back Gabs, AJ,
and so on.
And Batley can't be far
Possibly,
away as well.
So
right. There's no need to rush them back, is there?
Yeah, and I think we'll play, like we said before, I think we'll just play the way we play. We're gonna try and run them. We'll try vary things. I think Byrne will use his kicking game to a great extent. I mean, that ball's going to run nicely.
On that,
I mean, I might go down the bookies and see what the odds are on 50-22s actually next week. Sort of spread bet on that. How many 50-22s in the game? It seems like it could be a 50-22 sort of pitch. If you get the spiral going, it's going to bounce off that 5G.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, I've just turned it to a 3G to a 4G to a 5G. That pitch. I have no idea what sort of G it is. Yeah. So I can't really see. Again, I don't really like spec. I quite like look forward to seeing what the team's going to be when it comes out. It's quite exciting. So
but I do think the start is really important for us.
Yeah.
I think we need to definitely
the start or the restart.
I don't think against Gloucester we don't want to be chasing the game, do we? Because that is an extremely difficult place to go. And chase it.
And it is almost like quieten the crowd to start with.
Are we going to see we're doing? Who's most likely to game? So we've got Lena is most likely to wear tights.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to shush the shed?
Shush this. Right. So I
like
reckon,
Fid Russell did last year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I reckon it could be. I mean, your immediate thought would be someone who's going to score a try.
Yeah.
I just got a funny feeling it would be someone like Jimmy Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
100%.
Jimmy Williams.
Because he's got Hartbury links, and he's just the sort of guy that recognises the gravitas of doing
Absolutely.
that. 100% Jimmy Williams. Yeah. I'm so 100. I like this game. Let's have one more.
And Rans, because he's from Hartbury.
Yeah, maybe Rans. But I think Rans got too busy. He's got a lot to think about, Rans.
And also they know Rans quality.
I just think Williams is just if he spirals well, or if he just scores, he's going to turn because he did the little he loves the little finger wag, the ambient, and I think let's have one more. Who's most likely to wear tights? Who's most likely to shush the shed? Who's most likely to carry a baby out? If it's not James Dunn.
Well, it can't happen 2 weeks in a row.
I tell you who it's going to be.
Genji. Oh, we haven't talked about
Genji's going to start.
Changing the squad. Genji's had a quiet week off. Nothing going on, has he?
As we said, he's useful for the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
But come on, Genji, we know because we've all been there,
and he knows.
He knows it. You're not needed. No. You're not needed after that, and I know he knows that. You're needed. You'll be needed in a bit down the line, and of course, as you know, you've got a full extended family. They can help out. But no,
not
and
far
I'm sure
to Gloucester and back. Yeah, exactly.
So, right, okay. Couple of things to finish off with. Contract extensions this week, Marmy and Thacker. And then we talked about the under-20 academy guy, locked him in, Sam Scott. I mean, all good.
Who's a player.
All good. Yeah.
Good for the future.
Apart from Byrne, who we mentioned earlier, most of our business has been done. Jordan, I think, looks great. I'll be a bit annoyed if Jordan goes on the Lions. It'd be great for him.
Yeah,
he's a Lions bolter at the moment. I'd quite like to not have him on the Lions.
Yeah.
Because we then probably won't see him for months.
The trouble is, because he's versatile.
I know.
He could go
I
on
can
that
see.
squad.
I'd pick him. I'd pick him.
He could get called up, couldn't he?
But I mean, I think most of our business is going to be like who's going to stay, and we want people to stay. We've got great players, so that's good. And then the other thing was there's been a bit of talk this week about this introduction of away areas for fans. That they were going to look into this, and one of the games coming up was going to have away, and kind of driven a lot by Harlequins, I think, on the back of that game that we don't want to mention. I don't know, personally, we haven't got. I think maybe we should talk about this another pod. Personally, at the moment, I'm not for it.
No,
agreed.
I just feel it's the thin end of the wedge.
Yeah.
Like you start creating real difference. You then start going to groups of people going, who are you? Tribalism.
Then we turn into football.
And I know people will say, but they get the choice and it's atmosphere. It's like there was a great atmosphere at Ashton Gate on Saturday.
The integration yesterday was
and there were
just
groups
great.
of Chiefs fans within.
You could hear them.
I thought
so.
Maybe a discussion for later, but I just thought I'd mention it because it was up in the news, and I just don't want us to get dragged down that route. I really don't.
No,
totally agree.
Anything else, boys?
I think that's it.
I think we should stop.
Quick,
because we haven't got time.
Need to doff our cap to an absolute England and Bristol Bears women legend who's this week hung up her boots, and that is Amber Reid.
Yeah.
It was a bit on the QT. There's been some contract extensions in the women's game, but what, like you said, absolute legend. She basically glued that team together for years. And when she came back this season, you know, we peaked in our performance until the semi-finals. So we wish her well. Hope she gets into, you know, the sort of coaching setup. But, you know, huge, will be missed hugely.
Absolutely. Great shout, Marl. She's too good to lose. We've got to keep her there.
Okay, on that note, boys, I think we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Everyone, stay safe. Have a good week. May see some of you in the shed. But generally, 1, 2, 3.
Up the Bears!